To describe who I am, I think I would say I'm still becoming. Trying to understand, how do I fit in as an older brother or son to a mother who is a single-led household. I was really inquisitive and just trying to understand this world. What does this world mean to me? You know what I mean? How do I fit into this world? This idea of what it means to be black and male and what type of jobs you ought to have, that's what has been normalized. And when I do mention that, well, wait, no, I'm actually a professor at the University of Manitoba, they're like, oh my God, you? That's not you, that's impossible. It was an accident, or maybe it was meant to be. I didn't even know what anthropology was. Professor comes in, plays this video, I'm mind blown. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know that you can go all across the world and just learn who people are and take notes and then reflect and think about, again, what it means to be human. What does it mean to be a black young man and marginalized in the city of Toronto? I was a really happy kid. I loved watching black sitcoms back in the day that made me laugh, like Martin Lawrence and Living Color. There's this idea that this is a single mother home. People think that there's no father. That wasn't the case, right? My father just never lived with us. My parents are from the Caribbean, Barbados specifically, right? So being black from the Caribbean and now being black in a white settler colonized nation state, it really, for me, it was like a culture shock because there was this immense pressure, be better, right? But there was no pathway in terms of what does better really mean. Like my parents would say, go to school, get education. What type of education am I getting here? And it's not a knock to them, it's just how they understood the world coming in as immigrant Caribbean parents into Canada. I do remember Jim, I didn't know Jim at the time, Jim Hayhurst Jr., visiting the school I was attending. And they gave this presentation about Trails and what they're planning to do and how they're going to work with young people. And I think the most selling feature for many black parents who are sitting there, particularly my mother, which was they get to go to summer camp and they're gone for 2 weeks, sold.
A few years ago at one of our Trails graduations, a mother grabbed me at the end of the graduation, held onto my hand and said, can I go up to the front and talk? And I said, sure. And so she kind of dragged me up to the front and she stood up there and she said, when my son, Adrian, was 12 years old, he had two good friends. One is now in jail for the rest of his life for murder, and one is dead, killed in a gang fight. And my son is about to go to community college. The only difference in those three boys is Trails Youth Initiatives.
I don't think my mother or even a lot of parents that sent their children to Trails back then really knew what they were going to do. But I got in the van anyways because my mom told me I had to. It was scary at first. I remember meeting a bunch of children there who I didn't know. I just went into my shell a bit and I was quiet and I was like, I don't know anybody. I don't know if I should trust anybody. They're not from my hood, Hurst was so unique. He had a special ability to just want to learn and want to learn who you are, right? And I think that's why I got into anthropology, to be honest with you. Because as an anthropologist, our question remains is, what does it mean to be human? Right here. I started to relax. My shoulders started to drop. And I think there was trust. There was an appreciation for everyone as being human. When Hurst used to see all of us when we were younger as participants, he'd give us these huge bear hugs. At first I was like, oh, okay, Hurst, I'm done. And then I understood what the hug really represented. I wasn't looked at as this young black boy from a marginalized community. I was looked at as a young boy who was figuring out life. The question that always remains is, tell me your story. That was always being asked in many different ways. After lunch, we'd go and sit by the water or we'd sit in certain places by ourselves and we're just journaling. Oh, it's me right here, doing the Jordan pose. This is not a one-year camp. This is not a 2-year camp, it's for life. We have to be in these people's lives forever. And that was one thing that Hurst and Jim, I always remember vividly, noticed that a lot of organizations were not doing. I think that's one thing that Trails offers a lot of these young people: sense of belonging, sense of love, sense of human, sense of appreciation. We see you, we validate you. This is a safe space, and I don't have to be someone I'm not, or someone my mother or my father or my peers want me to be. I'm just me. I didn't want to leave. I would leave this program feeling like I can conquer the world at a young age. I left at 11 years old, my first year, and feeling like I have no limits to what I can do here. But when I went back into that environment, I went back to a school system that was anti-Black. There was no encouragement for Warren to reach the limits of what Warren can reach. And then going on to do my doctorate, I'm like, holy geez, like, I'm actually doing this. I was sitting in a barbershop in 2018. I got in this amazing conversation with a young man. And at first we were talking about him going to the club and how many girls he's gonna pick up. It was an entry point. I asked a question, well, have you thought about sexual health? What do you know about sexual health? Can we have that conversation? There was a young man in the barber chair who was listening, and he started to chime in the conversation. And I was like, oh, this is where you guys are. You're in the barbershop. Does this make sense? I'll just bring the program to you.
The problem is education. Problem is we don't have enough words in our toolkit to use to describe how we feel.
People felt a sense of belonging in that barbershop. It was scheduled for 2 hours, and it went for 4 hours in this packed barbershop that only has a capacity of 20 people. We fit 40 people in there. We were able to do it across Canada, Victoria, Montreal, Winnipeg. We had the first opportunity to take into the Caribbean. Sylvain Dion, my mentor, I remember him saying to me when I was doing my doctorate, what we're doing, Warren, is we're creating more Trails soldiers, as he put them, to go out in the world and spread that message. Hurst is a very big part of my curriculum. You know, I show pictures, I show things he's written. I think Hurst inspired me so much. I think he used to do public speaking this way. Everything I do is coming from, that's why I said earlier, I think Hurst was an anthropologist. Because he always asks the question is, what is your story? Who are you? I remember picking up the phone and in the middle of class, he calls me and I'm like, guys, it's Hurst. And these students have never met Hurst. All of them were like, hey, Hurst.
I'd like to invite Hurst up to bestow the honor of the inaugural Hurst Legacy Award to Warren Clarke.
At that moment, I remember saying to myself, the work's not done. Like Kobe Bryant. Did we win the championship? No, the work's not done, right? So, and I still believe that, right? And then when I was asked to put my name on the wall, I put it at the bottom, right into the soil, because that's where my roots are. It's not about Warren Clarke, and it'll never be about Warren Clarke. It's about family, it's about Trails, and this is my way of paying it forward. So, to the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for witnessing this, and thank you very much for being a dad. I remember him calling me to inform me of the news that he's going to pass, and he told me he wanted to see me for the last time. I went to see him, and I'm bawling. He's just looking at me, and I said the words, I'm going to continue paying it forward. Hurst knew things about me I didn't even know about myself. When I tell you, like, he was able to humanize me, and I lived in a house, I didn't live in a home. I didn't hear the I love you. I would always love to take a hug from Hurst or Jim. It was home, you know? So, you know, when he passed, it was like, you know, there's no more home. I just had to be here. scout came, she sat right here on my left side for a moment. It was just peace. There'd be nights where it's like 3 in the morning. I know when Hurst was alive, he'd be like, Warren, my boy, you can call me anytime. 3 in the morning, 4 o'clock, doesn't matter what time you call me. And I never did, because I was like, it's like 4 in the morning, he's probably sleeping. And I kid you not, I just used to go to his website or find an article with his face and be like, what would Hurst do? You don't feel it over a season, right? You don't experience life 1 year, you experience life all the time, right? So how is it that you can say like one thing that just sums up Trails? It's impossible. I came here, I think 3 weeks ago. I usually don't call when I come. I'm really bad at that. I just show up like Pokeroo. Not once have I showed up here and it was like, Warren, what are you doing here? Holy jeez, like it's always been hugs. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking of you. Warren, guess what? We were actually just talking about you. And it's like, really? I was like, holy. Immediately I feel like I'm at home. There's no Dr. Warren Clarke without Jim Hayers Sr. There is no Dr. Warren Clarke without Jim Hayers Jr. When you have somebody that says they believe in you and actually mean it, you feel you can do anything in this world. That's the gift that Hurst gave me. He was and represented Trails to a level that I could never do. But I, inspire, encourage myself to follow in his footsteps. I don't know if it's genetically given or socially given. She has a lot of trails in her. If I were to give advice to a young Warren, keep exploring. You did exactly what you were meant to do. Don't shy away from the opportunity, but understand what safety and a sense of belonging really means.